On the S engines, the changeover valve is located on the right side of the airbox lid, indicated by the yellow arrow. It connects to a flap on the underside of the airbox. Begin by using a T25 torque and removing the 8 screws holding the airbox lid in place. Remove the valve from the bracket in the lid by pressing down on the tab, red arrow, and sliding it back and out from the bracket. Disconnect the electrical connection by pressing in on the wire, red arrow, and sliding the connection off the valve. The small hard vacuum line should slide right out from the rubber line, yellow arrow. If you can remove both lines, then you can skip all of the other steps. I simply could not get the rubber vacuum line to separate from the airbox in the vehicle. You can now remove the airbox lid by lifting it straight out. Use a T20 torque and remove the single screw holding each air filter to the airbox. Slide the filter slightly away from the center of the airbox and lift them out, red arrows. The airbox is just held in place by rubber grommets it sits in. When removing it, be mindful of the mesh on the intakes and do not damage them, red arrows. Disconnect the Maf sensor by squeezing in on the tab on the back of the connector and sliding it off the Maf, red arrow. Use a 7mm socket and completely loosen the clamp to the throttle body, red arrow. Use a trim removal tool and work your way around the rubber bellows and separate it from the throttle body, red arrow. Lift the airbox up and out. You will slightly tilt it to the rear to remove it. The red arrows show the studs and the rubber grommets it sits in. If one of the rubber grommets stays on the airbox like ours did, simply remove it and replace it back into the chassis. You can now safely access the other vacuum line, red arrow. I used some Croil oil and a small pick to separate the hard line and the vacuum line, red arrow. You can now take the valve to your workbench and separate the rubber lines there. I used a series of warm water soaks along with Croil and a small pick. If needed, you can just cut the lines off and replace it with new vacuum line. Installation is the reverse of removal. Thanks for watching. Be sure to subscribe to our channel and check out another video in this series.